Y'all might like it, but it's an old friend's dog sanctuary.
Oh my god.
It
that
is
was
my
what we went live to,
favorite-
by the way, so that's perfect.
It's my favorite thing on Facebook. I highly recommend anyone to check it out. If you need a smile, because they're like very good at updating and keeping you looped in on all these like cool senior dogs. I like got super invested on.
That's so cute. I love it.
Yeah, highly recommend it.
My favorite is it's called This Cat is Chonky.
Oh yeah.
And it is like, because I've been on Cool Dog Group, and I've been on Dog Watching, and both got a little intense and like very I had to leave them. But This Cat is Chunky is like it's so good. It's so good. And I don't even remember who recommended it to me.
I think it could have been me.
Nope, because I sent it to.
Oh, you did. You are right.
Yeah, here I was thinking everyone was running a bit.
No, it was my hairstylist. It was my hairstylist.
Jordy, you got to change the game that we're playing from Dungeons and Dragons to recommending a Facebook pet.
I was gonna say just chatting.
I got 10 in the chamber, and I'm ready to go. What do you want
Quickly
next?
finish this up. All right, awesome. Well, we are good to go. So hi everybody in the chat. Hi you guys. I'm super excited for today. Nice little continuation from last week, and Emma will fill you in on all the crazy stuff that happened. So
Thank you.
let's go ahead. The crazy stuff that happened last week.
Emmer's gonna do it?
No, I'm gonna fill them in.
You didn't prepare.
No, I'm literally just putting them on the spot. Go talk for 10 minutes about something you didn't watch and weren't a part of.
I mean, if Emmer wants to read the recap that I gave them. Actually, can I read it?
Whatever.
If you want to, yeah. Here, let me start playing music. Hang on.
Okay, but this can't be in character because unless we're doing like a Flowers for Algernon kind of thing
I'm
where
really gonna read my rambles, and this was like, I was like day 2 of taking medication, and I was like, I must do this.
Okay, go for it. You're live.
Okay, so this was an update for M. How the party almost died. So we walked up to a huge sinkhole that was desolate and stinky. Think like bubbles of gaseous burps. I spelt burbs, but it was burps was what my intention was. Exiting the swamp. We snuck down super sneakily, using our bedrolls to minimize sound. Les's idea. Elethe and Aluura were scouting ahead. Elethe did some super amazing hiding magic. Aluura was majorly impressed. We saw a huge blob head.
Yeah, and actually I just read that oops.
I said blob head pussy chain monster. I meant to say pussy chain monster.
Oh really? Oh, did you?
To be fair, he was a pussy chain monster. Just saying.
I thought from that description, I was imagining a very like the creature looked like a vulva.
I mean, like
there you go. That's the creature right there, Amanda. Right?
They come in all shapes and sizes. So yeah, it's not
So our huge blob head pussy chain monster floating a bit further. We wanted Les to use his fighter talent of sussing out the strength of an enemy, so we called him forward. As soon as Les moved, he wasn't as stealthy as Aluura or Elethe. This monster attacked. This had some heavy hits, mainly turning Les's ears to wings, Hope's hands into claws. Oh no. Aluura's skin super scaly and strong. Elethe's eyes black. Oh, then Les's ears ripped off and flew away. Les was at 2 failed death saves until Sexy Healing Wolf showed up and saved the day. Also, they hit Les and Aluura with a spell that makes our intelligence and charisma 1, in brackets, -4, which is still in effect after Elethe epically killed the monster. So there's that. The party is now moving back towards the Uthgard warriors. Les and Aluura are following along like puppies because we still have an intelligence and a charisma of 1. And that's where we left off. Oh, thanks, guys!
Well done. Yeah, and that was pretty much the whole session. So the giant chained pussy monster.
canon now.
How would you spell pussy?
I think it's just one S. I don't even know if pussy is a word.
I don't think pussy is a word. It would be pus-filled.
Pus,
Okay.
yeah.
Pussify.
Pusified?
It was
Pusified.
pussy monster.
Pusified, yeah.
I mean, it makes sense though. I feel like it was just the context of it, like, was very, with it being over text, like, it's, the tone is hard to read because there's the difference between.
I was very new in my medication. I was like, okay, so many spelling mistakes, not a through line at all. So that's what you got.
Do all the things.
That's all of the things.
Awesome.
Makes
All right.
sense.
But yeah, overall, that was pretty much what happened. You guys found the sinkhole. You found this gigantic monster, which I revealed to you as players. It was referred to as a Sibriex. To you guys, you have no idea what it is. So last we left off with Aluura and Les. Oh, I just realized that I accidentally swapped Les and Leif. Lol.
Whoops.
There we go. You guys now in the right places. So last we had left off with Aluura and Les still on 1 intelligence, so that's a -5 modifier, and 1 charisma, -5 modifier to charisma as well. Unable to speak, unable to form thoughts outside of friends, enemy, life, death, pretty much very basic things. Leif coming over and taking a look, and Aluura just kind of grabbing at the air a little bit.
Gonna kind of turn to the party, or Elethe and Hope. Should we maybe get out of this kind of swamp thing? I'll see if I can figure them out.
Yeah, I think that might be a good idea for us to do.
Hope, if you're okay to grab Les, I'll see if Aluura or Elethe, if you're gonna help with Aluura, maybe we can get out of here and
Yeah.
go and regroup.
What part of Les is sticking out that I can pull on?
Les is pretty much back to normal now, because Leif, you said you were going to cast Lesser Restoration on both of them, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so Lesser Restoration restored their forms. So, actually, you would have had to do that on Hope as well to get rid of the claw hands.
You want to get rid of your clients?
So the way that it was is, just so
man.
you're aware, Emmer, is Hope, when you went to attack, the creature had an ability to warp flesh, and what it made happen was either alter, remove, or add bits of body parts to you. So your hands were still there, but growing out of the top, kind of between where your thumb and forefinger are, is a little claw that you could have used as daggers. So you essentially had a hand that looked kind of like this.
We fought David Cronenberg in the last session, so it was quite fun.
I'm still bloodied as fuck, right? I'm still like...
So
heaping
Elithe's
pile
healing
of-
magic has been kind of healing you up a little bit. You don't understand. It's a really bright dog that looks really scary, but like Elethe is there and she's just kind of like pushing it closer to you as you take steps away from the creature. But eventually you realize, good. And you start to see less blood start to come out of yourself, so you realize it's probably a good thing. Actually, you know what? Just for fun, make an intelligence check for me,
Oh
Les.
boy, he's gonna run off.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
With a -5.
Jordy, why do you do this? Trying to herd cats right now.
-5, got a 19.
Oh, so 14
Not
total.
that bad. Yeah.
All right, yeah. So you kind of, even in your dumb state, you remember you've seen this before. This is good. This light wolf dog good, and you just kind of go up to it and just start hugging the energy-filled dog as it starts to heal you a little bit here and there.
I know Elethe isn't here. Can we like pretend that when Les hugs it, it makes like the plush squeak, like that wee sound?
I will allow it.
Elethe would be like, no.
Yeah, Elethe would be like, no, but I will allow it.
How much healing do I get?
So it's a d6 per round, plus you've also got the ring of regeneration, right? You're still using that, or wearing that? So so that's more hit points. So we'll say over the course of the next maybe like 10 minutes or so, because I think the spell is a d6 per round, and it's only been going for 2 rounds, so it'd be 8d6.
Regrow, fully return to functionality after 1d6 plus 1 days. 1d6 every 10 minutes.
Okay. So 1d6 every 10 minutes. So we'll say you would be roughly at about 40 hit points, we'll say.
That'll also grow your ears back.
Wait, oh my god.
The ring will grow your ears back.
It would if Leif's spell hadn't already done that.
Oh, damn it.
I mean, look, I cannot heal. I cannot do that if you guys want. Like, if you want to look exciting.
Yeah, if you
I'd
want
rather
to
not
let.
have deafened ability.
Well, it's more so that you're poisoned until you cure the poison condition, and staying poisoned means you keep getting levels of exhaustion, so it'll kill less.
This one's up to you, dude. Whatever you want.
Les is at a 1 intelligence. He does not know any better.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna cast that.
There's
Just to
Kaylee.
make sure
All right.
it stays healthy.
I'll go ahead and leave. There we go. And
There we go.
Yo.
Kaylee Jane, there she is.
Hi. Sorry, guys. It was a day where I fit like an hour and a half of therapy in between work, and I just did not get dinner done
No
on time.
worries. Take your time.
Okay.
Your lovely healing will healed me.
Yeah, we had a really cute scene with a healing wolf.
Sexy healing wolf.
So with that, Les will say that you're healed back to roughly 40 hit points or so. Leif, you've cast Lesser Restoration on everybody who was being affected by the poison, and you've started casting Greater Restoration on Aluura and Les.
I was gonna wait till we get out of the.
Oh, till you get out of the pit, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
you get out of the pit, and just kind of regroup with. Oh wait, no, actually, shit. I'm gonna cast that when I'm down there,
Okay.
just because I know what they're like with magic, and maybe they might not be crazy about that.
Yeah, probably a safe bet. So
I'm going to cast Lesser Restoration Greater Restoration on Aluura and then Les.
Okay. So Aluura, as Leif kind of comes over to you, you instinctively are like shying away a little bit, not knowing what's going to happen, but you look into Leif's eyes, and you know Leif is a good boy. Leif is a good boy.
I'm kind of trying to like kneel down a bit, like it's okay, it'll just be really quick.
And you're just hearing just a bunch of things that you don't understand, but
I'm like trying. I'm just like
it's a really nice looking man, and a single thought pops into your head, and it's just a picture of a mushroom, and you're like, okay.
Okay.
So you cast Greater Restoration.
Yes.
All right. So you have the diamond dust for that.
Oh fuck yeah. I guess. Yeah. I think I'm gonna have to.
I'm pretty
crush
sure
some
you guys
diamonds.
got some like before you left Barovia, just to be on the safe side. Because I'm pretty sure you were left with something like 2 casts of Revivify, and then like 3 or 4 casts of Greater Restoration. So I'll say 3.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So you'll essentially have 1 use of Greater Restoration left, before you'll have to stop off and get more diamond dust. But,
Stop off at the local diamond mine and see if we can figure that one out.
Diamond dust.
But yes, I cast Greater Restoration on friend Aluura.
Alrighty, so Aluura, you kind of like looking at this like big blue man, you're trying to remember name, anything, and then just Leif pops into your head, and then a couple of memories of what you guys have been through, and then you start to come back, and as your intelligence and charisma start to rise up a little bit, speech starts to form in your mouth, and within a matter of a couple of seconds, you're back to normal.
Do I have a memory of what happened?
You do. You remember everything. You even remember that you were stupid.
I did everything
Guys,
right.
that was fucking. What the fuck was that?
I have absolutely no idea. There's gonna probably be a lot of conversation. I am gonna kind of turn around as like Les is probably like trying to drink the bog water, and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna get over for that. Hold on." And cast Greater Restoration on Les.
Okay. So Les, same thing. Over the course of 5 or 6 seconds, you start to feel words and memories and the thought process of how to string together sentences coming back to you. And it all just kind of garbles out a little bit for you as you finally are able to speak again.
As I'm on all fours, garbling the swamp water. Oh.
It tastes like bile and pus, and you just...
Yeah, you're like right where the thing was.
Actually, I need you to stop.
Actually, hang on, Les, you're going to take 6 points of poison damage.
Les, please. Spit that out, please. Spit that out. Kind of try and like you're burping a baby. Like, please don't do that.
I'm sorry, I didn't know why I was doing that.
Okay.
But Les, you do look over and you do see that the tree that had been there, now frozen in place, branches and roots kind of half out of the ground, unmoving. But the creature, the one with the chains, has started to not dissolve, but break apart into different pieces on the ground. So you do have something that you are able to look at if you wanted to. Elethe.
I was just going to ask if we have seen any signs yet of Valen, Triss, and Jessa like peeking over the side to see.
Yeah, so with this, kind of with them looking over the side and you kind of instinctively looking back up at them, with your disadvantage on perception, you kind of knowing roughly where to look, you see that Jessa and the pair of Ash Striders start to make their way down the ledge. Bows are drawn, and then kind of getting to the bottom, getting a clear view at the tree that they had seen moving before. All three of them just fire 3 rapid arrows, and they impact against the trunk of the tree, and it stays perfectly still with their arrows embedded pretty far into the trunk. Just feel a little bit better and start to approach you. Well, that was unexpected.
The part where we succeeded, you mean?
Yeah, what was actually
well, that too. But no, this, and they just kind of gesture towards just the ichor that's on the ground that had come out of this creature. Obviously, we've never seen anything like this. Have any of you? Do you have any idea what this could be?
We have a little bit of an idea.
I'm gonna be pretty straight up. That was 100% new for me.
I've only seen it in my nightmares.
I mean, this specific coin, but we've faced something similar to it before,
Okay.
multiple times in the other land that we were in.
We did?
Yeah, I played Walker's house and something sort of similar in the Death House. Don't you remember?
Yeah, there was some weird
At the
stuff
bottom
there.
there, that sort of garden.
This was by far the strongest
Yeah.
version.
None of those things also gave me wings that ripped out of my head or made me an idiot.
Yeah, that was new for sure.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, it was not fun, Les.
Leif, I know kind of this is more the doctor's specialty than yours, or maybe Aluura, you got a lot of book learning as well. Is this thing strong enough to have caused this corruption, or is it a symptom of the corruption rather than its origin?
That's a good
Chicken egg.
question. Can I?
Yeah.
Do I guess would that be? I'm thinking, would that be like an Arcana check or a Nature check? Like, to Alethe's question, am I seeing if? I guess like I'm looking to see if the nature is how the surrounding area, if it's been influenced magically or if it's magically influencing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes perfect sense. So you and Aluura can make your choice of either an Arcana or History check.
I'm gonna go for history.
Me too.
Okay.
That's like pretty mediocre, but I'll take it. That's a 14 for me.
14? Okay.
Oh wait, actually no, I already rolled.
All right.
I'm gonna
Aluura?
cast guidance.
23.
23. All right. Leif, you kind of like are looking more at the natural aspects of it. Looking over, you see that there are actual body parts that are within this creature, right? They're rigid. They're the horns that are there,
Yeah.
the body cavities, parts of arms, parts of legs that have kind of just been assimilated into the form. Those things are natural. They maybe came from here. Aluura, you, with all of the time that you had and the ability to look up a lot of the things that you had fought against, and remembering back specifically to how this thing is decomposing and compare it to how the other demon that Lady Wachter summoned decomposed, this entity was probably demonic in nature. Devils are more intelligent in the beguiling way, right? Very clear, usually humanoid creatures in some way, and like very clear status. Whereas this is more just an amalgamation of things. They're not commonly seen on the Prime Plane. Entities are typically created like this by malevolent forces that act upon nature and twist it to suit it to their will. But they do often require a creature from another plane as the creation point. So you would imagine probably somewhere in this thing, for however long it's been here, there is an entity that was brought to this plane that everything else has just kind of piled on top of over months, years, decades. You're not sure.
So knowing that, I'm gonna kind of stand up and walk right over and like start kind of cutting in with my rapier to this, like pulling off the chains and cutting into the body of this thing.
Yeah.
I will have also pulled up some stuff to cover my mouth and nose.
Okay. So we'll say doing it carefully to ensure that you don't get a squirt of anything coming up in your face.
Yeah.
You're able to see that a lot of the pieces that are kind of forming the entity are very loosely held together, seemingly as though the chains were kind of what was holding everything and packing it all in. And the chains are really most of what's left. Everything else is starting to kind of like turn into just ichor and eventually seep into the ground a little bit. But the chains seem to be made of very solid black iron. And there are some arcane runes that are in the circles where the chains attach on different points across the body, as if the circles are kind of set to start at a smaller point and then grow as the entity grows.
Can I please cast Detect Magic as a ritual? Can I do that?
I believe Detect Magic is a ritual spell.
It doesn't say how long it takes.
It just, if it says, so if it says ritual, you just add 10 minutes to the casting time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it would normally take one action, so it would take you 10 minutes if you wanted to do it without using a spell slot.
I'm just gonna cast it. I didn't use any spell slots, so...
Okay. So casting Detect Magic, the chains themselves appeared to have been magical, but you can see that the magic is fading as the entity is kind of separating underneath them and are slowly losing their magic.
Losing their magic.
Yeah.
You guys, and I'll kind of relay what I remembered about the fact that it seems like some malevolent force has brought something to this plane, and it is I think these chains are what created this monster. I don't know. It seems like the magic is fading. I can maybe do try to identify and see
the chains of splicing creatures together.
So would it help at all to dress the kill, find out what's under all these weird lumpy bits? I know it's a morbid suggestion and it's going to be disgusting, but I'll help if that's going to be something that, if we dig deep enough.
Is that not kind of what I did? Like, it was kind of falling apart and I've cut into it, and that's what's
That's kind of
left
what you
is
did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only pieces that appear to still be any form of, like, solid appear to be parts that are, like, slowly decomposing, but were probably more recently added onto its form. Yeah,
So
it's the
this is like-
definition of gross, I don't want to touch this anymore.
Sorry.
Aluura's like hands deep.
Aluura explained
Just
what
elbows
the,
in.
like how this formed.
How it forms is typically with Aluura's ridiculously high history check. Typically some kind of malevolent force would act upon an already demonic or devilish entity, twisting it and eventually forming something along these lines. It's like forcing it to create the chains that bind itself and then adding pieces to grow larger and stronger until eventually it became whatever this entity was.
So someone brought the sourdough starter is what you're saying. It's kind of piled on from here. Anyways.
Don't you dare bespeech the name of sourdough.
Dude, I love it.
Fucking love sourdough.
So good.
Anyway, Aluura.
With my check, do I think that the magic is fading from this because we've killed it, or is it fading because it's so old it's just losing the...
The
Like,
magic seems to be fading
that.
as the entity spreads and starts to sink into the ground. So you would
Okay.
imagine it's probably now that the entity has died, the chains that were holding it as a solid single form are losing their magic.
Cool.
So just to make sure I understand, so this, whatever it was, the demon or whatever, this was the source of this like localized corruption perhaps, but maybe not the source of the larger symptoms of unrest in the woods, and that's maybe masterminded by whatever made it, or...
That's pretty much what Aluura seems to be believing.
Yeah, I just wanted to reflect back because I wanted to make sure my take on it was correct.
Yeah, because this entity is definitely powerful enough to be corrupting the things directly around it, but from what you know, it itself is usually not the source of this level of corruption, and it is usually created by something that has already been corrupted.
Right, like it made this swamp and maybe some of these tree creatures, but like the larger unrest that's happening everywhere in the high forest is more than its influence is possible.
Correct.
Yeah.
It wasn't this guy. It wasn't this thing that was talking to me in my dreams. We didn't.
Considering it didn't speak to you at all, no.
Do you understand pizza?
Kind of looks like
I
it.
have absolutely no idea what that is. It sounds good though.
Is it a
So,
person?
I'm gonna kind of like
Maybe.
pull the chain. Like, is the chain? Is there multiple chains? Is it one like big long chain? Is it?
So it's a series of rings, a little bit larger than your head, probably about the size of a beach ball, give or take.
Okay.
Off of those are the individual chains with the links, and they connect to different sizes of different rings that were around the body. And the body itself was about 15-foot cube, or sorry, a 15-foot sphere, I should say. It's a pretty substantial amount of chain. You'd be looking at probably 75 to 120 feet of chain with all of the rings attached to it as well. Pretty substantial amount of weight.
How so I couldn't like wear it.
No, you would be dragging like a train the length of the red carpet if you wanted to wear it.
Trying to sound like you're
that
gonna go.
would be a great look for the Met Ball.
Yeah.
Just all
Gonna
the
go
rings
surprise.
around your neck getting from largest to smallest.
Gonna go surprise Ebenezer Scrooge after this one.
Yes,
Met Ball.
Christmas Carol reference.
Nice.
Does anybody recognize the symbols on these chains? I know, again, we're kind of missing our resident Arcana expert, but... Or like, do I even? I don't know if there's anything like Elvish about them.
Also, Aluura, what's your modifier for Arcana?
+3.
+3.
I rolled an 18.
Yeah, I'll say with that 18, it's good enough. You would recognize that it would probably be... the runes would be of... Shit. There's a specific school of magic. I'm trying to remember what it is. Essentially, it is containment magic. I'm just going to... Schools of magic. Hang on.
Can I take this opportunity to pee? I should have peed before the stream, but forgot.
Yeah, all good.
Okay.
You need to do a different kind of stream. It's fine.
I know. It's just a personal one. Just me.
Personal 2-minute stream on my own. It's fine.
Non-live stream.
Yeah, so it would be the School of Abjuration. Magical spells and effects within the school are primarily designed for protection and shielding.
Okay, I'm gonna like pry open one that has the most runes on it, just get a link. One of the ones that was like big enough to wear as a necklace.
Sure. There would be one that would roughly fit you as a belt.
Cool. I'll take that one.
Okay. So yeah. So go ahead and make a strength check for me.
I'm gonna like wear it over my like shoulder, like.
The
like
metal is fused together, so you do have to try and rip it apart to try and get it apart. So you go ahead and make a strength check for me.
Can I hand this to Les or Hope? Can I hand it to Hope?
Sure.
When they're done peeing.
Yeah, of course. So you hand over the link from the dead creature. And
Can
just
I
kind
hand it to Hope and Les?
Yeah, they can both attempt
them.
the strength check.
As you go like, hey Les, can you do this? I go, not fucking touching that thing with a 10-foot pole. I just start like backing away. I don't want to change into a goddamn pizza blob monster. Get that fucking thing away from me.
That's
Do
completely
I look like a
understandable.
pizza monster right now?
Not yet.
Not now. Who knows how long this thing takes to work? I'm not fucking going
Aluura,
to
I'm really not sure about that, but if I mean, I trust your fashion sense over my own, so if you think this will pair nicely with something, and it's completely
Well,
understandable.
no, it's more that like we have our watchers who they're watching us.
Oh,
Jessa is here to
Yeah, right.
witness. That's the word I was looking for. We have our witnesses, but you know, having a concrete
that's fair.
like symbol of what we've killed and what we've kind of destroyed in this area and completed the task that we were set to might not hurt.
Yeah, we can't take a tooth off of this one, and at least kind of like looks over at the pile of muck on the ground.
Yeah, and so my detect magic lasts for 10 minutes. Is there any magic left at all on this thing?
No.
Cool. There's no. This has like negative magic now. There's no magic left in this chain. It's. You know, I know it definitely scared us, and I was stupid for a while, but
I'll be honest,
this isn't gonna do that again.
I was really concerned that we were going to have to invest in like a new skincare regimen for you, whole bunch of other stuff for everyone. I was kind of looking into the costs we were about to incur, so I'm glad everything, smoothed out.
Well, I was ready to keep my changes. Those were fucking cool.
I'm sorry, Elethe.
I think Les has a.
Yeah, Les, go for it.
Lester.
Quick thing, did the tree ghosts say they ever saw this thing? Or they just sent people to investigate this dark pit and never came back?
Are you asking the party
Just
or
the group in general?
Yeah.
They sent people who never returned. Yeah.
They've never seen what this thing is.
I mean, I look over it
Now they do.
themselves, but that's what they told us in our briefing. They didn't know what was here, just that it was corrupting.
Good God. All right.
I wonder if there's any other areas that are getting corrupted. Let's maybe head back to Jessa and discuss our next steps.
Yeah.
all right?
I have a quick thing.
Yeah.
When Aluura turns back to look at the tree ghosts and she still has detect magic going, does anything ping on them?
Good question. Aluura, looking back at them, because they are going to be within your range now, because they would have fired their arrows and walked over. It's up to you if you wanted to share this. The bow that Jessa is carrying pings. Nothing else does.
Okay.
Sneaky.
None of the weapons of the other.
None of the weapons, armor, bows, arrows, everything is entirely
Boots.
non-magical, with the exception
Boots.
of that one bow. Boots.
The
No.
bow. Okay.
Yeah.
Hope, when you're settled down, will you help me break a chain link?
Oh,
Like
follow-
there's one that's like really big and I want to take it.
All right. So Hope, go and make a strength check for me.
At advantage because I'm helping?
No, it's that both of you make it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can I have them do it at advantage?
No.
Okay.
Because you're both pulling on each side of the chain, so it is both of you.
I stand behind Leif.
Okay.
Dude, I'm not going near that thing either.
So it's the two of you
Switching
just swapping sides. All right. So strength check, Aluura.
A 10.
10. Hope.
Yeah, it's just straight up add strength.
Just add your strength. Yeah.
11 today.
11. All right. This
Too pussy.
the interesting thing normally, and you all know this, you've spent a good amount of time around armor. The way that chain, and especially chain mail and links are made, is there is always a weak point. This doesn't have that. This is one flawless piece of metal that you can't find any anchor points, you can't find any solder joints to it. Whatever this is, this chain is otherworldly.
Very well made.
While they're pulling it, if I can sort of see that there's not really any success happening, can I pull out the adamantine scimitar and try to like break it for them?
Go and make an attack roll.
I'm seeing. Actually, wait, no, sorry. This is an attack roll. I was gonna see if I can guide
Maybe
Elethe.
like pulling on it, and then you just kind of come in and like whoosh.
Like I would kind of wait to see if it was like giving or not. And then when it wasn't, I was like, okay, I'll be like, okay, held still for a second. I'm going to try something because I know that the adamantine is like really, really a strong metal. It can cut through just about anything.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens. Okay. Occur. 25 to attack.
25? Okay, go and roll damage.
Okay. Occur.
I never heard that incantation before. It sounds very lovely.
This one wouldn't count as my first round where I get my extra roll.
No, this isn't combat.
Jordan, put the combat music on.
I had to try. Okay. It's gonna be 10.
10? Okay. You having Hope and Aluura pulling from opposite sides and kind of holding it at almost even strength, right? They're kind of holding it in a perfectly midpoint with an exposed top that you can pretty easily strike down on. So you kind of take a second, wait for both of them to like look away a little bit and just really wrench on it, and you just pull out the adamantine scimitar and slice down, and you tink impact against it. It doesn't cut through, but there is now a flaw in the top of it where you impacted.
Awesome.
So you would imagine that given enough time, you could separate this. That weapon might not be the best thing to do it because it kind of skittered off on the side. Like you would want tongs, anvil, series of hammers, but it could be separated if you so chose.
Look at glass. Maybe can we try and take this with us if you want to? Maybe we can do
No,
this back.
it's too big to take with us. That was why I was trying to find a link.
But maybe like Cinnamon could carry it if Hope doesn't mind walking.
I've got a.
Les, we'll finish up with you really quick. What's yours?
Just as they're like breaking that thing, and me and Leif are comically trying to hide behind each other.
Yeah.
As soon as they make the dent in it, I just very instinctively just start looking around the area to make sure not another one of those pizza blob things are anywhere nearby.
All right.
Seen anything? I'm tapped, dude. I don't think I can do another one of those.
Let's make a perception check for me.
It's behind you.
Jordy's fucking with us, you guys.
I know he is. But just in case.
13.
13. You actively look for floating blobby things. You're looking and you're looking, and all of a sudden something on the horizon does appear to be a floating blob, and you just kind of instinctively reach for your spear and look over to it, and it's the ground has swelled up to form a bubble and then just and then it pops up along the top again.
You all good, dude?
I'm fine.
Elethe, what's your passive perception?
23.
23.
Oh,
Is anybody else's passive over 20?
Mine is 20 on the...
20 on the mark?
What is our passive?
Oh, sorry, no.
What is,
No, sorry,
I feel
sorry,
like
that's my
mine
insight.
should have gone up.
So passive perception is 10 plus your perception modifier.
Okay, no, that's correct.
Yeah. So Leif, as Les is kind of looking around, looking at the physical, you and Elethe kind of like just get a little bit of a shiver and then really start looking around, and you don't see anything. But something noticed that impact.
Oh.
Or you don't think we should try and take this chain with us? I think we should get out of here right now.
I'm gonna
It
turn
didn't
to...
feel like it was something like in the immediate vicinity, but just kind of like there was just a general feeling of like unease that just kind of came over you as you impacted and you saw the dent.
So it didn't feel urgent. It just felt like a being watched.
It just felt like a
okay.
like just hairs on the back of your neck just stand up just a little bit.
I
Jordy,
don't know what it feels like to be scryed on, but I think maybe I just felt it.
Jordy, did the scar on my forehead tingle at all?
They're on your arms, aren't they?
Oh, whoops. Wrong
it-
intellectual property.
The scars didn't tingle,
Okay.
but you felt a very weird sensation, and like kind of looking around, you almost felt angry. You realized that you were gritting your teeth. You were like grinding your teeth in the back of your head. And then you just kind of snap yourself out of it and just look around and like everything's totally fine, but you're like, your jaw's a little sore. Like you've just been like clenching your teeth really hard.
Yeah, Elethe, let's roll. Can I turn to the tree ghosts or the ash striders?
Yeah.
Say, do we need to bring this to prove anything, or is like your word is good?
My word will be sufficient. Don't worry about that.
Y'all cool if we...
Are you sure about this? Because I feel like given a bit more time, we could break it. Like, are you sure we have to abandon?
I don't know if we want to leave it behind necessarily. I can't really speak to that, but whatever I felt was once we actually impacted the chain, something noticed us.
Do we really want to leave this behind, though, for somebody with ill intentions to then pick up and make another one of these disgusting blob things?
That was my other concern.
Doesn't feel like we should just leave this magical chain that can just merge things together to murder people and make their ears into flying things and rip off their heads.
But I thought Laura said that the magic was gone.
But
That's
now,
true. We can wrap it around a tree. I'm sure nothing bad will happen if we do that.
Yeah. I
We
don't know. Yeah. Leif, your arms.
Yep, I'm
Your
the
mom's telling you.
early boy.
Your arm hair, is it sticking up and tingling in
Ooh,
some kind of
I don't
way?
know.
That's
How about my chest hair, my back hair? Any hair?
In general, being in this
Sure.
area, you with your background and your appreciation of nature don't feel good. But there's nothing particularly like really setting you off or setting you on edge of any kind. It's just kind of a general feeling of like, this isn't natural. Forests aren't like this. I don't like this. This needs to get back to what it was. Aluura?
Elethe, if you say that we need to go, I trust you. I think that if you've got an eerie feeling, I trust your intuitions. So let's head back.
I don't like being watched. And I don't know. I mean, I think that whoever came across this would have to re-enchant it, right? So they'd have to be fairly powerful anyways. And that, like, if that's the case, it doesn't really matter if they find a chain that'll suit their purposes or not. They're already gonna be meaning ill. But I'm gonna follow last as we just go out of the swamp, and Jordy, Elethe is gonna be looking around specifically to make sure that, like, if there's any of her compatriots' blood on the ground or in the swamp, it gets like mixed into the dirt. If there's like any shards of clothing, then it gets picked up. Like there is going to be like nothing left for somebody to find in this area.
Okay. Go ahead and make a perception check for me.
Okay. Leif, do you want to help me out with this?
Yeah, that sounds great. Kind of wander over and cast guidance. And can I assist Elethe in this action as well?
Sure. So, Elethe, you get a d4, and then you both roll perception checks.
Okay.
So your perception?
Yeah.
My favorite terrain.
Yep. So you do get the advantage.
I rolled a nat 20.
Nice.
Woo! So in total, it's going to be 35.
Okay,
That's
I
with the
rolled a
d4 as well.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Very easily. It takes a bit of time, more so because every time you think you're done, you find another couple of spots of Les's blood all over the rocks.
Les's ears.
You don't. What the thing is specifically that you're looking for large chunks to begin with. There's not a lot really. Like all of the attacks were kind of held to smaller areas, typically affecting Les and Hope when they were on the rocks, and you're able to clean it up with pretty exact precision. It doesn't look like anything that anything of any creatures aside from this entity and the tree blight that it manifested would remain within the area. Les?
Yeah, it was that, and specifically I wanted to make sure there was nothing for anyone to like pick up and scurry from either.
No, nothing for you guys of any kind.
Okay.
Les?
So I was hoping to say this before people were disbanding and walking away. But basically, I was going to say something along the lines of, the chains, do you think the shaman might want to take a look at them? He's kind of one of their best magic users. They're trying to fight whatever this evil entity is. Maybe they might want to examine it or take a closer look at it so they know what they're dealing with.
Are you asking us or Jessa? Let's ask them.
You guys.
Yeah, let's ask Jessa.
Yeah, they probably know.
All right.
And Jessica kind of turns and looks back, and it would be a bit difficult for us to be carrying all of this back, but if you could find a way to get it there, I can't imagine it wouldn't come of some kind of use. Although, if it had any magics involved in it, it's a bit of a 50-50.
It's up to you, Jessa. If you think that having this dark magical item in your midst is a bit of a faux pas for you,
it's less of a faux pas, more that I don't exactly know how the shaman would react. For good or ill, I can't say. The decision...
Well, I can't imagine he'd be happy about it, but...
She,
right. Can't imagine that she'd be happy about it, but... I don't know. I leave it up to your discretion, I guess. Just because you're battling this dark entity, and this could be a very serious clue as to who it is and where it came from. But I'll leave that decision in your hands.
And you see them kind of take it over and end up discussing with Volin and Triss for a little bit. We'll come back to that. Aluura, what was your thing?
Oh yeah. This was more. It was more of a Kaylee thing. Elethe.
That's a...
When we fought that blue thing, the Abishai,
Uh-huh.
it was invisible, and you remembered afterwards that you had a way to see people who were invisible, and so like you just mentioned that you think somebody might be watching us. Is that
Good question. I don't totally remember that. I think maybe it's only because I had Hunter's Mark on it. But let me just do a quick peek over my... Let me just think really hard for a second, because Elethe have her inherent drow abilities written down somewhere.
Elethe, that was a spooky fight, you know? Sometimes you get your noggin rattled a little.
it was more just like, I feel like one of us has the ability to see if somebody's invisible, and I thought we could check to see if there's...
Yeah. I can cast a spell, and if I hit it, then I can make it visible, but otherwise I can't, like, make it something visible.
Yeah. It'd be like True Sight or something, right?
Yeah, you'd be looking at True Sight.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. I don't know. There was something...
Well, there's a couple of ways to see invisible creatures. There's Fairy Fire, which is the more common one. You know.
Oh, yeah, that's what I had. Yeah,
but Fairy Fire is that you essentially blanket an area in flour, and it kind of shows creatures that are moving within the area.
Okay, how much flour we got?
Yeah, so you have to already know roughly where it is, because it's only a sort of limited area, and then it kind of just like lights things up in sort of phosphorescence, and you can see what's invisible if there is something, but if I don't know where it is, I'll miss it.
I'm still learning my magic. You've got all of these very cool things you can do with magic.
That's a drow thing.
That hiding was
underground.
So cool, Elethe.
Thanks. That means a lot coming from you, Aluura. Appreciate it.
Did we tell Jessa this fact?
That someone's potentially watching us?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't know if they were close enough to know when we said that. I'll relay that to them. Just sort of
like,
they were
off
hey,
having a discussion with Volin and Triss, so this would have been something you could have kept to yourselves if you wanted to.
Okay.
It kind of puts them in danger too. Do you think we should tell them or no?
Just
well, it puts them in danger anyway. If someone's watching us invisibly and is tracking our movements in these forests, I think they should have the right to know there's something evil possibly tracking us, so that they can prepare themselves.
I think that they know that.
I think that Les is right in that whatever is the greater evil here, that's not going to stop just because we killed its little pet. They live
in this fight with them. I'm just saying.
Yeah, they live with the grandfather tree, whatever, and we have some information that sort of implies that the grandfather tree is kind of at the heart of all this. Whichever it is, they're in danger regardless. But we might as well tell them that. Tell them what I saw, not tell them that the grandfather tree is holding a demon.
All right. So they would come back from Volan and Triss. Leif will come to you in a second.
Did you want to say something?
This is just kind of along that same vein, so I'll come back to Leif in a sec. But they would come back from discussing with Volan and Triss and just kind of... If you could find a way to get those chains back, it wouldn't hurt. We'll put it that way.
Just before you make our final decision on that, I think you should know that I think that when we actually managed to damage those chains, it got something's attention. So...
Got something's attention? What do you mean?
You know what it's like to have the feeling that someone's gaze is on your back in the woods. You might not be able to see them, but you know they're there.
Funnily enough, I don't. I'm always the thing that watches.
Oh, we just got...
Anyway.
They are so cool.
You know about that.
Regardless, something found us when that happened.
Jordy, the question I was going to ask, if you don't mind me jumping in,
Yep.
The sensation that I got, would it have been dissimilar to anything I've experienced previously at any point in this adventure?
It would have been dissimilar. Yeah, there hasn't really been a moment that you felt that.
Okay.
Like, you're somebody who's very, for the most part, typically mild-mannered. It's a little easier for you to remain calm than it is for most others. And with the time that you had spent with Hope, you definitely felt your moments of, blood rush and start to get the testosterone flowing when you were in the fighting pits. This was just pure anger. And like, you kind of feel, and even now, just kind of like reach up and like kind of half absent-mindedly just kind of stroke your jaw and feel like it's still a little bit painful from how hard you had been clenching your jaw.
Yeah.
And you didn't remember doing it. It was just that suddenly you were like, whoa, what the fuck?
Okay. Yeah, so look, if we're gonna, do we think, between the 7 of us, we'll be able to kind of carry this thing like in a line, maybe?
Can we load it on Cinnamon and Hope?
Cinnamon is with us.
Just to be the DM, you do have a bag of holding.
Okay, would this fit in that?
Yeah, because it's essentially just long. It's not very wide, right? Like the chain that would fit around your waist is the widest part. You can kind of force that and jerry-rig it into the bag. If you have enough room, it would weigh about 240 pounds.
Okay, I'm full on picturing like ship's chains here, so I was thinking...
It's not like that level, like it's more... think more along the lines of...
Like swing set?
Yeah, no, not swing set. A little bit thicker than... thicker than a swing set. Like what?
Okay.
Bike chain. Like a big bike chain.
Yeah, like a much thicker bike chain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's got the bag of holding? Shall we try and...
Leif.
I have it, but I don't have any of the tracking for it that we used to have in Barovia. I think Aluura was keeping track of what went in and what went out.
So, just one thing here. I'm pretty sure you guys actually emptied the bag of holding because all it was full of when you left Barovia was coin. And then you divvied that up.
No, we did have some stuff.
But there was like the obsidian and like some other random stuff,
we can figure that out.
When
Yeah,
we left Barovia, you started tracking what was in there.
Yeah, and we haven't put anything in since then. So that's what I'm saying. I don't have anything from before.
Oh, okay, cool. I have what I have had. I can tell you what we had in there at the end. Words are so hard right now.
It's all good.
A rapier, short bow, standard shield, fancy ass bottle of wine, which doesn't exist anywhere. We use that for something. I don't know what though.
Yep.
Celebrating where we kill Strahd.
Hope's shield, which I have a note that says Elethe has. A gaudy rug worth 750 gold pieces.
Oh yeah.
Fresh fruits, which are probably not very fresh.
We'll say you would have emptied those out by this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
We have
assume.
a wooden box with we use those 10 bottles filled with Paylor.
Oh,
Oh,
that's the fake. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, that's the water from Crace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Outside of Barovia, that's just water. So we'll say, you say you would have drank it at some point, and you would have realized it was
Okay.
just really good water.
Mineral water.
Out of Barovia, it's water.
In Barovia, it acted as a cure disease, so it would get rid of a poisoned ability or poisoned effect. Yeah, and you never used it.
Wow.
You guys took 10
Potion.
vials of it and never used it.
Classic.
I like put it on my weapon or I drank it, but I wasn't diseased.
Yeah,
so I didn't
you
do
thought it was like holy oil or holy water of some kind, and all it was is something that, like, when you drank it, it would cure an ailment of some kind, whether it was poisoned, blinded, stunned, those kind of things.
one blue potion. I have no other notes.
Oh, I'll tell you what that is. That's a mana potion. I don't know why that would be in the bag of holding, unless you guys just grabbed it and stuck it in there.
I think we put it in the box because we had like the box of
Oh,
like
yeah, we had the
Oh,
potions
yeah.
Okay,
and
yeah.
potion carrying box, and so
Yeah.
we were like potion in the box.
Cool.
Okay. I'll send you what that is in Slack.
Sweet. I think I have
We
one.
have Katrina's spell book.
Oh yeah.
We have a small empty vial. And then I have the note of Strahd's sword and armor, which don't exist anymore.
It's true. That
God
does not
damn
exist
it.
anymore.
So we've got room. Can we scoop all the chains
100%
in?
we have room. That is
There
not a
we
lot
go.
of stuff.
So, oh no, there's like almost all of that would have been gone. I'll say if you would
Yeah.
like to, for the rug, you can go ahead and just add 400 gold pieces to
Tight.
general loot. All of the weapons would be basically in total worth like 50 gold, so say 450. And the rest of it is just like negligible stuff that you would have just scraped out at some point. So the bag is
Okay.
essentially empty now with 240 pounds of this Cybriex chain.
And the wooden box with the like potion bottles in it.
Yeah, so the vials are still able to be used. The liquid inside
Yeah.
is just water, so you would
Yeah.
essentially have 9, or because I think it was set to hold 10,
10, yeah.
And one had been used.
and one had been used. So yeah, so it's not. So you've got 9 empty vials that you can use for different things. The weight on that is, we'll say, 5 pounds for the box and for the vials.
Do we want to just start another sort of group loot and just put that 450 into that?
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds good. I'm getting a real bad feeling here. Can we get rolling?
Let's mosey.
Cool.
All good.
Yeah.
So I'm
And we're
gonna.
taking the chains, right?
Yeah. So you're taking the chains.
Yes.
So here I'm gonna send the card to Slack right now.
Big
And
chain.
you'll see what those are. So this is visual
Big
aids.
chain. Big chains.
Onkin
Beat the
chain.
man chains.
Chunky chains.
So yeah,
Chunky beat the man chains.
for anybody in chat, this is actually one of my favorite personal created items called the Mana Potion. So clear blue liquid fills the circular glass container. As an action, you may drink the liquid yourself or feed it to a willing or unconscious creature. When you drink the potion, declare a spell slot level between 1 and 3 that you wish to regain, and roll a d4. If the result is equal to or higher than the slot level you announced, the spell slot is regained. If it's lower, you take XD8 psychic damage, where X is the level regained, but you do still regain the spell slot. So essentially it's like, do you get a migraine for forcing yourself to remember how to use this spell?
Heck yeah.
Whoa.
That's cool.
Very cool, Jordy.
Get that 5-hour energy and get it going.
Pretty close, yeah. I mean, the game's got health potions, and like mana potions are something I wanted to create that are a lot more rare, obviously, but they do still exist.
Morton
Got that Phoenix
Kynan's
down.
Red Bull.
Yeah. It was a cool idea because I've been looking for a way to be able to let, warlocks do this as an action where they've got their rod, but once that's used, they're kind of screwed. The mana potions there allow you to do that, but there is the inherent risk where you take some damage if you fail.
Cool.
Cool.
So we're on the road?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
following Jessa, following the Volan and Triss, them at this point feeling a little bit more at ease, leading the way up. All of you pick up your bedrolls, shake off some of the loose shale pieces that were from stuck on the underside from your descent down. They are fully leading the way back now. The one getting there was very much your trial. Getting home, you've kind of proven yourselves at this point, so they're able to allow you to just kind of follow them and make sure that you stay safe. Hope?
I just wanted to check in with Leif while we're walking, or like when we're journeying. Yeah, it seemed like you had a bit of a moment and where you weren't yourself. Like you had, I don't feel like I'd ever seen you act that way. And
Yeah. I don't know. Hope no one else noticed, but when they're swinging on that chain over there, or in the bag now, something got, like, I didn't even realize, but I just got, like, super, I don't know, angry. I haven't really felt like that intensity before. It was pretty, it was different. Anyways, I'm definitely glad to be out of there and glad that everyone's safe, relatively. But yeah, no, thank you for checking in on that. That was a weird one. Are you feeling all right?
yeah, I'm feeling okay. I'm a little concerned. Do you think it would help if we like kind of checked you over, or like, do you think, had you felt like, did it have that feeling of that creature that had visited you in your dream and that vision, or was it just...
I'm not gonna lie, I'm trying to keep... I don't really want to worry the rest of the group. Maybe if we talk to the shaman, or if you're able to kind of do a check over, that would be great. But yeah, I'm not... kind of want to try and, not worry anyone, more than I already have. But between you and me, I'm a little spooked. So, thank you. And if you see me feeling or looking weird again, just, let me know. It's appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something that I need to learn to be able to do, but
you taught me how to be very athletic. I'm sure I can help you with medicine.
Yeah.
We can try and figure that out. Yes.
I would like that. I respect your decision to not tell the group. But I would love to try and get you to that shaman if we can.
Sounds good. And Hope, thank you for looking out for me. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Alrighty, Elethe?
I just was going to say really quickly that if Jessa and the Ash Striders, who are quite competent woods boys, are in the lead, Elethe would actually be in the very back as they are along the trail to kind of watch out for anything else.
Okay. Keeping an eye out as best you can. Your passive is more than adequate for anything that would actively attempt to sneak up on you. You instinctively are kind of looking to see if you get that same feeling again. And nothing really comes. It's just a general sense of unease that was always kind of there, but now feels just a little bit more malevolent.
Does it feel like anything I've ever felt before?
Not really. Even when you were in Barovia, there was the depressing feeling and like the overall kind of fear that Strahd would appear at any moment, but it never felt like he was always just right there, right? It was always that he was this looming figure overhead, and you could kind of like put a finger on him as a physical entity. This feels otherworldly.
All right.
Bad vibes.
Bad vibes.
Real bad vibes.
Cool. Does anything else befall us on this travel?
No, nothing does.
Cool.
All right.
Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
So, making your way back, Jessa pushing through into the Uthgard camp, taking the similar route as before, and you can see at this point now Volin and Triss are just kind of like, ugh, they're showing off again, and they just start to make their way around to the stairs to climb up, but Jessa leaning forward and kind of diving onto the tree and catching to make sure that they can make it up to the top. Yeah, not an issue for them. 27 to easily be able to mount that route and use it as a springboard to get up to the top. Did anybody want to attempt that to try and follow them?
Come on, gang, we're gonna do this.
I will continue my stupid competition with myself.
All right, it'd be an acrobatics or an athletics check if you would like to try and follow them up.
Yeah, I want to
Try.
Yeah, I want to try too. Actually, I'm feeling pretty hot to
We
try.
didn't have the opportunity to try last time.
No, you didn't.
Yeah.
And you seeing it this time, all of you are kind of amazed at this, and you see Les look like kind of confident and like take a couple of strides forward, and Elethe just kind of look like shit, like knowing that you almost made it last time but not quite. So we'll just go around. So Les, you kind of striding forward as the person who's done it before. Go ahead and make an athletics or acrobatics check for me.
I made an athletics check.
Yep.
And I got, oh, actually, that's more. 14.
14. You make the jump and catch your foot, but it's as the root still hasn't quite settled yet. So you kind of like step onto the root right as it's coming down, and your foot just goes whee, and you just wham, slam your back onto the ground on the opposite side of it, completely gasping for air on the ground, completely biffing the jump.
Those ears weren't there for you today, dude.
Ow.
So next up, Elethe, did you want to try again?
Fuck it, I'll do it.
All right, athletics or acrobatics?
Yeah.
My athletics is actually better than my acrobatics because of a weird thing, so
Weird.
I'm gonna do it. I can't remember what it was. It was something that I got to like pick an extra ranger. Anyway, proficiency, and I was like, athletics, sure, why not? I did get a natural. It's those
Okay.
fucking unicorn poop dice. Yep. So it's 27 total.
27 total. So this time, seeing less failing, and whereas last time you saw, you kind of waited and saw Jessa, and you felt like, I need to match up to them. You saw Les do it last time, and you're like, maybe this is easier than I thought it was. And you see him fail completely this time, and you're like, all right, I gotta do this. Take a nice little leisurely running leap and then catch off and hit that perfect point where it was just enough of a bounce where you get that double bounce, and you do exactly what Jessa did, where before you were kind of fingers on the edge, try and pull yourself up. This time you just kind of do a half turn in midair and just land feet onto the ground directly beside Jessa.
Nice.
And they kind of look over and noddingly approve. We'll just go around from there, Aluura. Acrobatics or athletics?
You have to ask me that question.
I know. The rogue, why do I ask?
Go, Robin.
15.
15. You kind of like looking at Elethe, you get a little bit of the fear, and so you like double time your steps, and you're doing that little as you're kind of making it up way up to it, and you leap, and instead of Les where his foot was a little too high and he just went wink, you catch the root dead center on your stomach and then just and slam yourself back onto the ground, and you just kind of like get tossed a good like 3 or 4 feet back, but a heavy bruise on your stomach. No damage, of course, but
I think there's still residual effects from that like mind wipe thing
Yeah.
that thing did to me earlier.
Yeah, that's totally it. It's the stupid pizza monster that made me miss. Yeah, that's totally what it was.
I'll
Alright.
try and help Aluura and Les up, and then run for it myself.
all right, go for it,
Carry
Leif.
3 times the charm. Let's go.
Athletics or acrobatics?
Athletics. It's a 16 plus 6. That's a 22.
22. You jump onto the root and launch yourself up, and you just and you catch these fingernails on the underside. It was an impressive leap, and you almost made it there, and you do land comfortably, but just with your weight, with the armor, it's a little bit tough to get that full height clearance, so you're unable to quite make it up there, but you feel a pretty solid effort. And Elethe, you and Jessa kind of heard the of the nails on the underside of the wood as Leif tried to grab on. But
Wait, so
not
did I
quite
just
able
like
to do so.
grab the like backboard and fall?
You essentially you whiffed the rim with your fingertips. That's basically what you did. Yeah, but you kind of you had the perfect form in how you did it. So, whiffing the rim, you just land on your feet, a heavy thud on the ground, and you feel pretty solid about it, but not quite able to make it up. Hope, last one.
Every day.
Athletics or acrobatics to try and make the leap.
Athletics, please.
Go for it.
And fingers crossed. Oh shit. I rolled a 19 plus 8, 27.
27. So similar feeling where Leif was kind of, he almost had it, but with the weight of the armor and everything, you kind of instinctively looking at that and seeing the root just going like da-doom, da-doom, and kind of starting to solidify itself, you realize, I don't have a shield. I'm not as heavy as him. And you make the running leap and time it perfectly right on the downswing, and then launch yourself up. It's a good 15 feet up in the air. You feel like you're not quite going to make it. You catch a little bit of the edge of your toe right on the top, but eventually just kind of like not stumble by any stretch, but just land with a heavy front foot. And you hear a couple of splintering cracks as the wood impacts under the weight of your armor and your general form. But you did manage to make it all the way up top, and you now stand beside Elethe and Jessa, and they both just kind of look over and give you a nodding approval as Leif kind of
down there.
not too bad, but Aluura and Les being helped to their feet, clearly still suffering the effects of the spell that took them over.
You can take the acorn lift up.
Yeah. Jordy, can I add that like I landed in like a superhero stance and then like immediately came to my feet, like how a gymnast does it, and it's like
Ta-da!
Alrighty.
yeah.
I love it so much.
So Jessa kind of looking over the edge and smiling down at you guys down on the ground, and no hard feelings. You'll get it eventually. Well, you had it last time. I guess things maybe it was a one-trick wonder. And then they turn their back and start to make their way up with Elethe and Hope.
Les, don't take that personally. They didn't mean it when they said that.
It's fine. They're always better than me at everything. It's fine. I've accepted at this point. Ugh.
And Valen and Triss make their way over and leave with you there, kind of each of you grabbing an arm for your fallen comrades, lift them up, and you do make your way over to the stairs, which are in and of themselves not exactly easy to get up. Right? They're designed for people that are 7.5, 8 feet tall.
Perfect. I'm just one straight.
Yeah, for you it's like, oh, finally I fit.
Found my people. I'm never gonna leave this place. No longer have to duck when I go into things.
But this time, in comparison to before, Jessa is just waiting at the top of the stairs for you, and essentially just wanted to do that shortcut. You get the feeling, having known them for, the day and a half that you've known them now, they like to just show off just a little bit and kind of see if anybody's able to keep up with them. So having 3 party members keep up, pretty impressive feat at this point. So they lead you up and eventually back into that very large central column tree where Borvald's main hall is. And with that leading you in, Jessa leading the way and the 2 Ashstriders bringing up the rear as the 5 of you are brought in. Borvald is seated on his chair. None of his children are there this time. Jessa kind of just taking over the room as one of the standing people, and you see him kind of look up, and he seems to, in comparison, you would kind of expect most people to have some kind of a book or parchment and writing. Doesn't have any of that, but just seems to be kind of talking a little bit to himself, and you can hear like recounting of tales as he kind of comes through, or as you step through into the area. Les?
Just for the time frame of us leaving Pizza Boy Blood Pit to the camp, how many more hit points would I have got back from my Ring of Regeneration?
It's 1d6 per 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So with the speed that you would have made it back, the previous day you're having to be a little bit careful and you had to camp overnight. With this, it would have been a solid 6-hour trip to get back at their speed, essentially not running through the forest, but pretty close. So it'd be 36 rolls, so you should realistically be pretty much back at full.
Sick.
Yeah.
Love that ring.
Juicy.
But yeah, so making your way into Borvald's chamber, and you see him kind of half stand up, and Jessa just kind of gesture for him to just stay seated as the 6 of you make your way inside. But he stands up regardless, and kind of lifts the heavy sword off the ground and uses it as not a cane, but just as more of a bit of leverage to get himself up out of the chair. So I take it that your mission was successful. All 5 of you returning.
Some parts did.
Little bit.
I thought Les's ears went back. Sorry. out of context.
Yeah, they
They're
did.
like
I think he's
feel
referring
like
to the
Les
fact that
would
he
still just
wants
do
the
that.
winged ears.
they're like a shade different because they're new. They're not as tan.
It's that.
They were like kind of pointy before, and now one's like lopsided a little bit.
No, it's that that Hawkeye quote where it's like, yeah, it's the same. You won't be able to tell the difference. Yeah, I can tell the difference. But yeah, no, everyone is back and doing well, and Jessica kind of just nodding. They did surprisingly well. I must admit, once we got a bit of a look at this entity, even from the high vantage point we had, I did not exactly expect them to succeed, but not a member dropped.
Well,
Um,
sideways. Drop. We went.
Not permanently though.
Oh, well, we didn't actually see that, so that's good to know that one of you actually did fall.
We're
Well-
honest. We're
Yes.
honest people.
To a fault, one might say.
I was going to say. But regardless, well done. Successful journey, and brought your way back, and Father, they've brought back a marker for the creature. And he just kind of looks at Jessa, and Jessa kind of gestures forward.
How do you want to help me pull this thing out?
Oh yeah.
and then go behind Leaf once more time.
Yeah, dude, I'm not going near that stuff.
Open the bag of holding because it's kind of like this chain is super heavy, and I don't think that I can like reach in and pull it out and kind of like hold the bag steady at the same time. So I just sort of like hold it open and brace it for like hope to be able to start pulling it out.
And
Like
you
Mary
see
Poppins.
Jessa, you see Jessa just kind of turn to their father and just be like, "You might want to turn your back for this one. Just let them get it out of their little dinky bag." And he just kind of looks over at Jessa and is just like, "Oh, all right." And then turns around, waits for you guys to heave this huge chain out of this very small
like
satchel bag.
45 minutes.
Yeah, it takes a good solid minute of just pulling, and you just hear ka-tang, ka-tang, tang, ta-tang, tang, tang, ta-tang, ta-tang, tang, ta-tang, as all these chains are coming out, and you see him just kind of instinctively, like, look back a little bit and look over his shoulder at this very small bag and this massive bundle of chain that just keeps getting dragged out of it. And then he just immediately snaps his head back around like, "I shouldn't have seen that. I should not have seen that. I shouldn't have seen that." But eventually, as all the chain is pulled out and the bag is pulled aside, who was up?
I think Emmer.
I just wanted to say super inappropriate. Basically, it makes me think of, you know, from the song WAP, Park That Big Mac Truck Right in the Little Garage, but
Oh,
we're
there we go.
doing it in reverse. We're like reversing that Big Mac truck out of that little garage.
Just yoinking it. Just keep
Yeah,
on.
you
wow.
wanted.
I love it.
We're actually in a tent.
Riggers be riggin'.
It was in my head, and I needed to share it because it was just like in my head, just on repeat, like.
And it's hilarious because the way the light or the firelight is casting the shadow, Leaf is bent over as someone is pulling it out of the bag on it's a classic Austin Powers sequence.
I was gonna say.
Oh man, it's way in there.
Hydrate or dihydrate, everybody.
But yes.
Let me, and it's with me doing it.
We got any more like bits we can run here? Oh my goodness, it's all pus covered.
Hello.
All right.
Don't put that in your garbage.
Elise, did you have something more serious and less potentially destructive to games?
I was just going to comment that like when Jessica like, like surprisingly they did it, at least kind of like at them, and then when they say like, oh, their little dinky bag, she just like full on eye rolls at them like, all right, like can you not with a superiority complex kind of thing. I don't say it out loud, but I'm sort of like, really? Hi. Do you want to say hi? Oh.
Eat kitty.
You can always tell when someone doesn't use magic. They always let you know.
They do.
Yeah.
But with all the chains pulled out and slumped down onto the ground, and you kind of doing your best to organize it, you know, in a rough, like, largest hoop to smallest, and kind of all the chains tidied around so they're not just dangling everywhere, Borvald turns back around and just looks at this massive expanse of because of the size of the entity, probably several hundred feet of chain. Just looking at that and then looking back at all of you and just... That is most impressive, I must admit. So what was this creature? I'm assuming nothing that we would have ever encountered before.
No, it was new for us too. Some sort of... Wait, sorry, Jordy, I just want to check. We know that it's a fiend?
You know that it's, because of the way that it was kind of falling apart, it was very similar to the demon that you had fought before. You would imagine it was probably some kind of a fiend or demon.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not going to, go out of pocket here.
No, yeah, you're good.
This, on page 86 of the Monster
On page 268 of the Monster Manual, there's this creature called the Zibriact. Yeah.
You'll love it. Some sort of fiendish creature that was able to warp the landscape and individuals in the landscape, so it was a real piece of work. But hopefully we're not going to be encountering anything like that soon.
We do think that this thing was created. I'm certain that this chain was brought here from another place, and this monster was created from this chain with some dark, bad magic.
Like a demon
There's no
crock
longer
pot.
any magic on this chain. It is free of magical properties any longer, but this was made and this was intentionally put there by someone, by something.
And you see Borvold look over at Jessa, and Jessa just kind of shrugs a little bit, kind of an unknowing, a lot of just kind of what had happened before, a lot of the references to these kind of things fall very much outside their knowledge and their experiences. But he's kind of taking everything in and calculating it a little bit, and I think it might be for the best that we bring this to Virenda. Have her investigate, see what she can find. I thank you for your service, but you said that this is a result of something else. So this is not the blight itself.
It was over that area. I think things were particularly bad there. Jessica attests to this swamp being incredibly corrupted where we were at. But I don't think it'll fix everything.
Do you know of any other areas that are as concentrated with darkness and evil? Or was that the place? It seems to be that Jessup took us to that place because that seems to be where everything was stemming from, but if you know of another spot, we can talk as a group and see if we'll be able to do that again.
Leif looks over to Les I don't know.
And you see him just kind of think for a moment and kind of look over at Jessa, and Volin and Triss come over as well. They kind of discuss for a moment, and they're not being secretive by any stretch, but just kind of discussing have we seen anything like this anywhere else? Is there another area? And then just kind of separating again, and Borvold turns back, and one of the primary places that we tend to find ourselves is west of the village and into the grandfather tree, the Arakor. We do not typically head east. That is the land of the deserters, those who left our ancestral mound. North and south, there is no reason for us to head there. These entities and these kind of blights may exist, but whatever they are, the only one that we encountered was the one to the west. Regardless, a deal was struck, yes? You wish to gain access to the grandfather tree, as you put it?
Yes.
I do think it's
Please.
you say that your people don't tend to head in all directions, but it might be a good idea to have patrols every once in a while, just so that it seems to me that this thing had been there a while, and we can kind of give you and relay all of the things we learned from this, from that battle and that conflict. You know, hopefully if you catch them before they put their roots down and before they get established in an area.
You see him almost bristle at this idea of being told how to do something and being told how to protect his people. Or that, like, being even the suggestion of we can tell you how to keep yourselves safe and what you're in for, kind of thing. And he just kind of, no, I think that we will be fine without your further assistance. This was a test for you. This was not something where you would become protectors of any kind. So we appreciate everything that you have done, of course. But we shall leave it at that.
Do I be sassy? Do I be sassy? Do I be sassy?
Oh.
Laura's literally like biting her tongue and looking at the floor. Ooh.
No, I take it.
Think of the ground for other feet.
Do it for the team. Don't have anything to prove here.
He's also like looking at Aluura, like kind of I've fucking had enough of this shit.
No, I take it that you would like another night's of rest, and then be heading out tomorrow at dawn, yes?
If you don't mind.
This
I would
sounds like
expect nothing less. It is already turning to night. I can't imagine that even a group as well prepared as yourselves would have gotten away unscathed. But
Aluura completely rolls her eyes.
and you see him kind of acknowledge it and just kind of slough it off as good.
Nice.
So, accommodations will be provided. None of the festivities that we had the previous evening. But it will at least be a safe place for you to call home for the evening. Food, drink will be provided. And then you shall leave in the dawn, and Jessa and her striders will take you to the Arakor.
They're striders.
Sorry? I
I
said their
was just-
striders. I know I said
I
the
heard-
striders.
Oh, the striders. I heard her striders. I'm like, ooh.
I did too.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Sorry.
No, I meant to say the striders if I did say her. But Jessa will take you and the striders tomorrow at dawn. And give you access to the root structure. Les.
As Burvald kind of gestures that and people kind of disperse from his vicinity, I want to kind of walk up towards him, kind of getting in a bit of a whispered earshot and just say, might I have that meeting with your shaman tonight? Is that still possible?
And he kind of looks back at you and looks down at the chain. I shall ask her. See if she is up for meeting an outsider this evening.
Respect your decision, whatever it is.
And he nods back. Elethe?
I'm not planning on doing anything about this moment, but I'm just curious if Aluura had shared that Jessa's bow was magic with the group or not.
Oh, it's up to you if you wanted to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Mandra, you're on mute.
You're muted.
Muted.
I didn't even think to look. That was you asking. So like, I don't think Aluura would have she maybe would have noticed it, but like not known that was a thing to share.
Yeah. Totally fair.
I will say though that just in general, Leif as a drow the term oath bow is pretty well known as a magical bow that is usually given as a very, very distinct offering of a gift of some kind. You don't know exactly what they do, but the terminology behind oath bows being something that come from elven society and being bows of incredible ability, it would be unthinkable to assume they weren't magical in some way.
I'm just wondering, it's not because I'm necessarily planning something, it was more like, how much is Elethe taking umbrage at all of these sort of like sassy like put downs about us using magic as if we're kind of like so weak that we need it when like they're out there using magic bows. It wasn't necessarily because I was like, I'm gonna plan on saying something. It was more because I was like, fucking really?
You just want to stick it to them.
Warrior needs a bow that has magic. Oh, like, anyway.
All right. Leif, yeah.
I think, yeah, one thing, if Les is going to be hanging back, I know Leif would also be interested in trying to organize some sort of like meeting with Wervold. Would it, from the previous night before, would I know that he just kind of like entertains people coming by his place, or do I need like an appointment with this dude? Should I talk to him?
An appointment with who, sorry?
Wervold.
With Wervold? You would imagine that now is kind of your audience. There wouldn't really be a time to come back as a one-on-one thing.
Cool. Okay, I'm gonna kind of just like see Les is having his conversation, kind of like sheepishly, kind of try and stand there and be like, "Oh, you're done, dude," and then shoot my shot whenever that's finished.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So I'm gonna approach Wervold and just say, before we kind of wrap things up, and we're on our way. The other night, you mentioned that you had come into contact with other furbolgs in the past. You'd had experience with them, some capacity. I have reason to believe I'm from around this area somewhat. And I'm looking for my people. Do you have any information at this point? Would be greatly appreciated.
You see him kind of look at you a little bit, get an idea of your size, skin coloring. It was some time ago, decade or two. A roaming group made their way into the forest. Seemed to be some kind of disagreements internally. Only a few clans, and looked to be one clan, maybe a few families. One that was a little different than the others. They looked the same, standard size, height, but a little more outspoken. Less interested in what the land wanted, and more what he was there for. They ensured that we would not get in their way. We did the same with them. So long as they protected the lands and did not harm anything, passage would be free. And they were in turn given passage. Came from the west, headed across through our lands. We escorted them around the tree, and eventually headed east, further into the center of the forest. That was the last that I heard from them, as we do not venture that way any longer.
I appreciate that. I'm looking for, I might have been there, I don't remember it, but I'm looking for my parents. I know how much, you've got a strong connection with your kids. That sort of to have a place, to have a family that's, you clearly understand the importance of that, and that's something I'm looking for. So I appreciate it, and I appreciate you taking the time.
And just kind of takes a moment. Family is the most important of everything. It is the strongest connection that we can have to our past and guides us as we make our way into our future. I wish you luck in finding these of your kin, regardless of if they are your family or not. Not having a place is something we know all too well. And finding that place, if you should ever be so lucky, is something that you will want to hold on
to. Appreciate it. Kind of awkwardly, like, fumble. Okay, well, anyways, thank you so much, Borvold.
He just takes a big cracked grin, and you're not especially good at this whole talking thing, are you, my friend?
No, I've never really been great at it. Pretty outside my comfort zone. I'm more of just kind of hang back, let everyone else figure it out thing, but, things are kind of changing, and I think I gotta get better at this, so, yeah, I'm trying, dude, so thank you for humoring me.
A tip for next time. Stand up straight, chest out, shoulders back.
Ooh,
Use
you're a
your
loud
size.
crack.
Command the room. It may not work with us, obviously, since you are still quite small. And he reaches out, and he's kind of reaching out at shoulder height to pat you on the top of the head. Because he is a substantially larger fellow than you. But
is the first.
with the rest of the world, especially other lesser humans, you deserve the center of attention. Don't shy away from it. Now, I am going to bury myself in a drink. So I will take my leave for the evening. Food will be provided to you in your rooms, if you would like to retire back to there for the night. Jessa, you will escort them in the morning. And they turn and, yes, Father, I'll have everything ready at dawn. We'll see you all then. And Jessa and Borvold both take their leave. And Valen and Triss are left behind, and they kind of hike up all of their gear, pick up a couple of pieces off the ground, and start to make their way down into the main thoroughfare, where they're leading you back to the same little house that you spent the previous evening. And less as you're making your way down, Borvold is kind of waiting at the bottom, and I will speak to Viranda. See if she is interested in having any outsiders visit her this evening. I can't make any promises, of course, but with an item such as this, it will depend on if she finds it interesting enough to keep in the company.
Would it help if I gave you an idea of what I'd like to speak about? Or...
I would rather not. Any conversations you would have with her should be kept behind closed doors.
Okay.
And he takes his leave with Jessa. So all of you are escorted back into the house for the evening, and about an hour or so passes. Your food is brought, hot water, I should say, because they don't particularly have any tea. Any drinks that you would like for the evening are all brought into the room. But in comparison to the previous time when you were kind of outside with everybody, this seems to be more of a just keep to yourselves for the night. You're not entirely sure why, but something just feels a little bit different tonight. And then about an hour and a half, 2 hours later, food starting to be cleared off the trays. You've just got a couple of snacks of, some root vegetables and roasted meats that are left over. and a loud knock on the door. Blue one, the fishman.
Yes?
Veranda has found this chain interesting. Would you like anyone to come with you? She'll see 3.
I think Leif should go.
Oh,
I kind of push him forward a little.
okay.
A little blue man group.
I mean, I don't see any men here, do you?
We're all,
What is masculinity?
that's true. That's
true.
this completely fluid concept.
We got a trident, we got a firbolg. No men.
Anyone else? Elethe, Aluura, Hope?
I wouldn't mind coming, but not so much that I'd insist on it if someone else wanted to go.
I've already put my foot in my mouth a few times today, so I'll stay.
Yeah, I think Elethe, I feel like you'll get more out of it, and I try really awkwardly to kind of wink, as I'm clearly trying to be like, use your really perceptive skills, but I don't know. I feel like everyone would be able to see the fact that I'm like, you're really good at reading these kind of situations.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll follow along with, the dudes over here.
Sure.
Alright.
Okay.
So Borvald leading the way. Jessa nowhere to be seen, but Borvald leading the way across a couple of the bridges. And you find yourself led to a surprisingly far off home. Or what looks like it is maybe a little bit of a larger one in comparison to most, but quite a distance away. And the nearest homestead or any kind of household would be several trees and several walk bridges, where this is very much a solitary chamber. And Borvald knocks on the door. Miranda, I've brought them. There are 3. May they enter? And a bit of a pause for about 10-15 seconds. Yes, see them inside, And Borvald opens the door and leads you in, and you see a very, very expansive area. Series of rugs on the floor, all from assorted woodland animals. You see a couple of pieces on the walls, some kind of chalk carvings, and as if the interior of the walls themselves have been carved out with multiple tools. In comparison to a lot of the areas that you've seen so far being very functional, this kind of has a smattering of not library per se, because there's no written parchment, but just general clutter. Just a lot of stuff, and different incense pots, candles at differing heights, some lit, some unlit, appearing to be made of different types of waxes. You see that there's no fire inside aside from these little bits of light, and then hunkered over in a far side of the room, kind of standing up to a full height of just a little bit under 7 feet, a little bit shorter than most of the other Uthgarth that you've seen. You see a very slim woman, probably late 40s or so, as best you can tell based on what typical human age would look like. Very long, kind of brown, scraggly hair, little bits of dried leaves and twigs inside it. And interestingly, though, is that growing out of one side of their head is like a very small little antler almost. Just a very short one, about that big. And like dirty, muddy face, and like a couple of different markings on their face you can see probably drawn on with coal or ash of some kind. But the most intriguing part is the long cloak that they're wearing comes down to just about where their knees are, but it seems to almost be trailing ash and soot off of the bottom of it, like it's just consistently falling off the back of the cloak. And then Borvald just ushers for you to head inside. Yeah, Elethe.
Does she have a similar vibe to, not like the poop part, but the poop druids? Do I kind of get this sense that maybe they're someone that, like, it is she? Okay. Yeah. She's someone who kind of maybe works with like nature, if not magic, like nature intentions.
looking just straight at her, yeah.
Okay.
It's like minus the like remove the poop. She's pretty close.
Poop druid minus the poop.
Yeah.
Madame Raz from She-Ra vibes, like, I'm kind of crazy and wander around the forest.
So Borvald gestures for all of you to head inside, and you can hear him close the door behind, and you kind of half expect to hear the heavy footfalls of him leaving, but instead you just hear a as if he just seats himself outside the door. So, all of you wanted to come in and have a conversation with me tonight, yes? Yes? Who? Who?
I am Les Paul of the Triton race.
Les Paul. Got it?
Kind of
You.
Val.
And gestures to Elethe.
My name's Elethe.
Elethe. Just Elethe?
My family name is Marin, but I just go by Elethe. Nice to meet you.
You as well. And you, ooh. And she actually looks up, and for once, Leif, you're like, oh, someone shorter than me.
Back here again. And I'm trying to, chest out.
Yeah.
Working on that posture. And I do like to think canonically Leif has had like terrible posture this entire
I've imagined you just like constantly hunched. Yeah.
There's like several like audible pops. My name's Leif. Nice to meet you.
Leif. Furbolg. Yes. Interesting.
So I've been told, yeah.
Well, yes. I mean, quite obvious. You don't look like any of the rest of them, but yes. So
What does he look like? I pointed less.
He's a large fish. So moving on. And you can tell that she's just kind of like flitting back and forth between sentences like very quickly. You kind of get the feeling that her time is pretty valuable, and like this is not an imposition per se, but she's kind of curious as to what the reasoning behind you coming here is. So, I heard that you brought me this lovely chain. What is it from? Why? Who?
We killed a fiend and took it off it.
A fiend. What is a fiend?
It's a creepy, scary monster that was kind of a mishmash of other monsters wrapped around some chains. Kind of like a crock pot of evil things.
What is a crock pot?
You'll
Absolutely.
get there someday.
A stew pot.
Oh, a stew. So lot of things shoved together.
Yeah.
Yes.
And boy, something else. Like, in this stew, there was someone who was making the stew.
And we're not sure who that stewer is.
Yeah.
Dirty
Good.
chef.
Yes.
Interesting. Right. Good to know. And you would imagine one of the things that, like, you haven't seen since you got here, any kind of parchment, quill, ink, nothing to be able to mark anything down. And of all places, this room would be one that you would expect that to transpire. None of it's happening. Like, everything is just being seemingly committed to memory. But they just kind of are, she's just kind of looking down at the chain and looking and, like, feeling the strength of it and, like, looking and, bit of a blemish up here. What happened to this one? And she's looking at the one that you impacted, Elethe.
We were just trying to take a piece with us instead of the whole thing, and yeah, I was only maybe able to cut it a little bit, but so we decided to take the whole thing. And I just sort of like I pull the adamantine scimitar out of its scabbard just a little bit so she can sort of see the shine of it, and then I put it back.
Adamantine, very, very nice. Perhaps I can have better luck. And you hear her just go and just try and pop it. Oh, it was a 19 and it turned to a 1. So she's just kind of holding onto it and just like pops her shoulder out a little and just
God,
and like throws it back into place and just well, a little stronger than myself. Good to know. Well, interesting. Some kind of an enchantment on this, I assume. Yes.
There was. There's no longer.
Is no longer. Well, I should hope, since the creature that was enchanted within it was vanquished. Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, we did that.
You did that, right? Well, shall have to do some tests. Now, in the meantime, I was told that somebody wanted to visit with me. It was you. And she points at Les. Was there a reason that you wanted to come and speak to me?
He just kind of looks side to side. He's like, there was. I thought that our meeting would have been a bit more of a private matter.
It can be. I mean, if you would like to step outside.
Step outside for a bit.
Yes. It can be.
Yes, we'll step outside the tree hut where we shan't hear anything.
Cool. And we step outside with our collective 80 perception.
Yeah. So the two of you stepping outside, and you hear the door close.
Immediately.
So immediately you put your ears up to the door, and you see Borval just kind of look over at you, and he just kind of chuckles.
I wouldn't do that. I'm not going to be like...
I know, I'm kidding. Yeah, no, we don't actually have to.
You don't do that, but it's more like you can tell that it's something where you're kind of half listening, trying to get a feel on it, and you see him just kind of look over and see that you're still curious and looking back at the door, and it would not do you any good to do that. She has done quite a good job at ensuring that whatever transpires in that room stays within that room. And you, with your ridiculously high perceptions, expect to hear some kind of footfalls, some kind of spoken word from the inside. You hear nothing.
That's impressive. It's good acoustics in there.
So, less with the door closing and Dorinda turning back to you. So, something you wanted to discuss.
Yes. Firstly, thank you very much for not only meeting with me, but my friends. We got the impression that you're not one to take to visitors very quickly.
I'm not.
Was it the chain that convinced you to see us? Well, I'm just curious as to what it was exactly that made us worthy of your time this evening.
Well, it is not worthy of my time. It is more that I'm a busy individual. I have things that I need to do to ensure that the village is kept safe. The people are safe within it, and the areas around it are safe. So, for you to bring an item such as this, proving that an entity that would threaten that safety has been dispatched, is warranting of a bit of my time. So, what do you come about?
Well, I am obviously not very familiar with whatever type of magic or school of magic you pertain to as a shaman, but being a shaman, I know from what I can gather that you have somewhat of a connection to nature and the spiritual world of sorts.
Of sorts.
Do you have any particular knowledge on spirits, deities, gods that possibly possess people and give them magic powers?
And you see her kind of take a little bit of a step back and kind of an odd glance at you. And then just... simply put, no. Creatures are taken over in nature a decent amount of the time. Outside forces acting upon them, of course. I was quite a young age when I first found some of my inherent abilities, but was able to be steered on the path that allowed me to harness those. Why do you ask? Someone you know been taken over by something?
Well, me, in fact. It's happened quite some time ago, but over the past year and a half, I get these strange visions that I don't understand. I mean, I've only been able to do this every so often, and he kind of goes, makes not a huge orb, so not to scare her, because I know everything about magic, but just kind of like a Rashangan orb inside of his hand to make a chromatic orb go out of like thunder sort of energy.
You're choosing thunder?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Just so it kind of crackles and shocks him in the hand. Be like, I've only been able to do this for the last year and a half, and I've been getting these visions, and I don't understand what it is, why I've been chosen to have these abilities. All I know is that it's a dragon called Ostilian, and he might come from the sea of moving ice, something to that effect.
You see a lot of these words are just kind of going over her head. Like, she doesn't react in the same way that everybody else you would imagine would to summoning the orb, but is more just kind of curious and kind of reaches a couple of fingers out and like traces her fingers over the edge of the orb and kind of lets it shock her a little bit as it starts to dissipate in your hand, and just kind of well, how old are you? In our years.
Your years, about mid-30s.
And you said that this only happened within the last year to 2 years.
Yes, correct. We were on another plane of existence, if that helps.
It doesn't.
It's
But
a place called Barovia that nobody knows about because it poofed away. Whatever.
This is curious. Abilities such as these tend to manifest themselves at young ages. Having it come upon out of adolescence and into your, I assume, what is your adult years, some kind of an awakening. Have you had any dramatic experiences that occurred in those times?
There was something that happened before I came to Barovia.
What was that?
Bit of a complicated story. I don't know if you'd have the time, but my uncle, Volos, he suffered a great loss because of me. And I don't know where he is. I don't know if he's still alive. I haven't been able to reach him since that time. I've been desperately trying to get back home ever since, and I just can't seem to find a way. And he starts to get a little bit frustrated, calm himself down. I'm worried that these abilities, this entity, whatever this process I am going through, whatever this power I've been given is a result of that consequence.
I wish that I had more to offer. Awakenings occur. Those are within our culture. Not uncommon. Once, twice a generation. Usually one becomes a shaman as a result. But they happen quite young. To go through a traumatic experience at that age as yourself and find yourself, as you said, removed from home, yes?
Yes.
That is a path I have not found myself on. But I can say that the experiences I had when I was going through my teachings is that abilities such as these do not come without a reason. Whether that reason is the past or the future, it depends on the individual and depends on the abilities themselves. In your case, going through what you did, a dragon, you say, seemed to have awakened and is now haunting your dreams or just inhabiting them?
Kind of depends on the dream, I think.
Does the dragon ever wish you harm in these dreams?
Not yet. Hasn't really made its intentions known. I haven't seen it in quite some time, as far as I can remember.
Well, dragons are long-lived entities. It would make sense that it would not stop in every week or month.
With your abilities, I know one particular skill of shamans that are quite greater than most schools of magic, and that's the ability to connect with the dead.
That is one that we as a culture frown upon. The dead lie with Uthgard. They are not to be conversed with. They are not to be brought into the light. They are allowed to be at peace.
But could you possibly...
No. Whatever it is that you ask is not something that I can comfortably entertain even the idea.
I don't want to bring anyone back to life if that's what concerns you.
Bringing back to life, conversing
I don't want to bring anyone back to life.
Conversing with those long gone.
Not even conversing. All that I ask is to give, possibly humbly, beggingly, give me some sort of sign if my uncle is still alive.
Do you want him to be alive?
Of course, yes.
Then he lives. Believe what you wish until told otherwise, and proven otherwise. The guilt that you may feel, the sadness, the emotion, are all things that your mind creates so that you have a clouded judgment. Those feelings are best left untouched. Follow what you know. When you left, you knew he was alive. To this day, nothing will prove otherwise. Whatever abilities you seem to want from me, I cannot specifically put a finger on what they may be, as you are the only one who knows. But it is not my place, or within my power, to give validation to positives or negatives of those outside our tribe.
But the maker of that chain could.
If the maker of that chain is an entity that you wish to believe, that is a question for you. A chain such as that, surrounding an entity as evil as the one that you said there was, whatever creature made that, is not one I would value as trusting. But it is not my place to tell you what to do with your life, or what paths you should take. It is obvious that you wish to know if this person is alive, and until you find out otherwise, they live, and there is no sense in believing any other truths or falsehoods that may come across your path until they can be proven. For better or worse, that will decide the path that you take. If you believe that he is dead,
Perhaps you believe your connection to your home is no longer there. Perhaps you feel it is not worth returning. That is a dangerous path to take. If you feel as though you should be home, expect to find him on the other side. And if he is not there, feel the pain for the loss. But do not force yourself through pain that is non-existent until you know for sure.
You mentioned an awakening. What sort of things can trigger an awakening?
In my experience, a connection to the forest, to the Aluura. He awoke my abilities.
And you see her kind of lift a hand and kind of twirl a twig out of her hair and kind of pull it out a little bit. And as she twirls it, the twig just gets longer in her grasp and eventually forms into a full-fledged branch about 2.5, 3 feet long. And then just kind of twirling it back the opposite direction, shrinks again down to this very, very small twig. She puts back into her hair and kind of twirls a couple of strands of hair around it.
Whatever awakening you went through was one outside of the natural order. Dragons themselves are natural entities, but powers awakened by dragons those kind of abilities fall outside of my realm. I wish that I could tell you more, but our people, we rely on history that is told. We are not scholars. We are not people who go to libraries and read books. We know our truths, and we do not seek anything beyond that. What you look for likely exists, buried in the depths of some chamber somewhere, filled with dusty pieces of parchment and books. Old men in robes, hunched backs, devoted their lives to learning. We are not those people.
See.
I wish you luck in this, but it is not something that I can assist with more than I have.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate this.
Les Paul. I'll remember that one. Be safe.
She makes her way over towards the door and kind of opens the door.
Now, you two, outside.
I'll kind of walk,
Yeah, what's
kind of
going on?
feverishly, kind of in a sort of an emotional huff. I'll just kind of walk out past Elethe and Leif and just kind of stumble off into the woods by myself.
But
Can I insight check? Does he want to be followed?
I'll say sure, roll an insight check.
I mean, like
Anything
okay, yeah.
other than a natural 1, you know that he does not want to be followed.
Okay, yeah. Well, okay, yeah.
No, I know, but I'm saying on a natural 1. We'll just say.
Yeah. That was a 29, so
Yeah, looking at Les, you see him
Leif can read the
instinctively want to huff towards the nearest forest, realize that he can't get there because he's 50 feet off the ground, look over the edge, make like a 2-second snap decision, is it worth jumping? And then realize, no, it's not. And then he just walks across one of the bridges and kind of plants himself on a tree a good 30, 40 feet away from where you guys are, but definitely pretty clearly wanting to be alone.
I'll turn to Elethe and say it's probably a character building moment. That's fair. It's understandable. See, that's when you have a connection to the divine plane, it just means you have meta knowledge of stuff. Cool.
So, was there anything in particular that the two of you wanted to dive into with me?
Well, I think Leif has some personal questions. Or I maybe have some questions not about, or maybe you don't. I don't know.
Yeah, really. I'm an open door on this one. If you want to come in, I was just gonna ask if you kind of have experienced any sort of like what your take on this chain is. Have you had a chance to look over it, or?
I had a little bit of a look. It's interesting. Obviously, the chain was meant to keep whatever entity was inside it contained. That much I know. Beyond that, it's a bit tough to say. Didn't seem to grant any additional powers or anything like that. More just to ensure that it didn't grow beyond whatever the limits of the chain were.
Jordy, quick question. I should have asked this. When she pulled on the chain, did I experience any sort of adverse effect?
Not in the same way.
Okay.
You were kind of like half expecting to like have to loosen your jaw again, but with the amount of exertion that she had on the chain link, didn't seem to have any effect in the same way.
Okay.
Speaking of keeping things contained, is that something you have ever experienced in this area before? Things being held in place, contained, their evil being kept to one area?
You mean like captured deer?
No, like
Any
this
sort of,
thing.
Imprisonment or anything unnatural, maybe being tied to the land in like a cage or something?
No, aside from the occasional adventurer who steps a bit outside of their realm and needs to be taught a lesson, but that's about it.
Fair.
You communicate with the Arakora, we've been sort of led to understand. Is that correct?
Yeah, as best we can.
They commune with you. Do your powers allow that to happen, or is it something more innate that the being does itself?
It is a two-way connection. We initiate the request to commune with the Arakor, and in doing so, there are responses some days, and there are non-responses others.
Have you ever heard the name Gorgoth before?
Gorgoth. Doesn't ring a bell.
Hidden Lord, maybe?
Hidden Lord. Go ahead and make insight checks, both of you.
Yeah. And when we say that, she recognizes it as that's her name. Wah!
She is Gargoth.
Classic.
Immediate.
Right. Well, we're getting a pull on this one.
All right. Elethe, insight.
15.
15.
Whew.
Leif.
28.
28. Elethe, nope. Everything looks pretty much on the up and up. Leith, Gargoth, no. Hidden Lord, something triggers. And you're not entirely sure what it is, if it's just a recognition of the name, but the response is a little bit, just a fraction of a second more delayed. As if there's some kind of a remembrance of that name deep in the memories, but not lying. Just more like, have I heard that before? No, I haven't. No. And it's more just like that internal struggle of like, vaguely something gets remembered, but it never comes to the surface.
Okay. With that level of an insight, I'm going to save us some like back and forth here. Hopefully, I don't know.
Yeah.
Would I know that like it's not worth to kind of press it?
You would know
more?
that it's not worth to kind of press it, but
Okay.
that the name, the term, the Hidden Lord, kind of triggered a very deep recessed memory. That was just more of a like, oh, I've heard that somewhere, but like nothing really to expand on other than just having heard the term.
Noted.
Your people have incredible oral history skills. Is there anything you can tell us that maybe you've learned either directly from the Arakor or through your tribe's like knowledge and wisdom about the Arakor ever taking action against some kind of evil?
Well, yes. When the Blue Bear tribe was corrupted by their previous shaman, the Arakor removed them from its area of protection, sent them east, wandering across the lands.
That was sort of within recent history, I think.
200 years ago or so, 140 maybe.
I mean, even before that, possibly.
Before that, ooh. Nothing that I can particularly remember. The Arakor, when its protective abilities are on display, it is a sight worth remembering. Anything that happened prior to that, at least, was not passed down through our histories.
We're meant to go to the site of the Arakor tomorrow. So I'm not as skilled as you or even as my friend here, but I do have some magic that's tied with nature, and I think I might be able to make contact with the Arakor, but I don't mean to be disrespectful in any way or assume a connection that I wouldn't want to have and would feel perhaps, if feel is the right word, but would be defensive about. If we go, should we let the Arakor make contact before we try to reach out?
No. You may attempt to commune with it, and if it responds to you, it will give you some indication as to what it is that you should do. I'm not entirely sure what it is that you're looking to do there, but whatever it is, we are the ones who attempt to make any kind of contact, and then it either reciprocates or does not.
That's useful, thank you.
Happy to be of use.
Are there any elves in this forest that the Ghost Tree clan is in contact with? I know there's some bows of elven make within your clan.
Well, yes. There are quite a few wood elven tribes that live in different areas and different clans that inhabit the forest. Very good at keeping themselves hidden, though, not wanting to be found by any waylaid wanderers, simply taking a journey through these woods. But they are there. You simply have to know where to look.
Would you have ever heard of a leader of one of the clans? Friggin' frick, where are my notes? Named Frick. Who is that person? Sorry. I know we had the name of a person who was leading a wood elf tribe back to try and...
We're talking about Askelhorn?
No. There's a... Isn't it like Lady something or other? I know, I'm so sorry, y'all. I should have looked this up earlier, but then I kind of was like...
What are you trying to find, Kaylee? Sorry.
Lady Morgwai. Have you ever heard of a leader named Lady Morgwai?
Lady Morgwai.
Or Morgwai, the Lady of the Woods. Sorry.
You see her go deep into the tank and just kind of like close her eyes and strain a little bit, and the name. Yes, but several centuries ago, came through, headed north, and then east, out from the tree. Came up from the southern side of the forest.
And headed east from the Arakai? Or the grandfather tree?
Yes.
Arakora?
Yeah,
Yes, I headed north to the tree, and then east.
So you wouldn't happen to know which clan of Wood Elves she might have been part of, or that might be descended from the group that she took?
The clan name... I don't think there was one. That's odd. I would remember her name. Her name, Lady Morgwai, yes, but the clan... there wasn't one. I believe... Actually, it may have been... 7? One... She was one of 7. That I remember.
She was on a quest to discover what she could about the fall of Erlan, and specifically to look for a bow called the Bow of the Elven Prince. Do you know anything about that?
That does not... that is not a part of our history. I simply remember the journey that she and these 6 others took heading north. It is long before my time. I am simply trying to remember as best I can, but anything in the elven history is outside of my realm. But it was a time when we were introduced as a people to Lady Morgwai and these 6 other elves.
Anything about her compatriots that you can remember?
There were no clan markings on any of them, but were obviously of clans. Let me see if I remember. 7 riders, 7 horses, 7 shields, 7 cloaks.
Oh my god.
No. 8 shields. There was another. There was an 8th shield.
Can Leif guide her?
Can you what?
Yeah, can I be like, hey, you need help remembering?
Give guidance to the shaman.
It's so many centuries ago that she was just remembering the 7s. 7 riders, 7 horses, 7 shields, 7 cloaks, but there wasn't 7, there was 8 shields.
Lean to a leaf. I'm like, don't you have one of those shields or something?
Yeah. I might have one of those shields.
You might.
I pull out the shield. What's the name of it again? Sorry. Pull out the Berserker's shield.
She just kind of takes a look at it and...
No, not round. Not round. A kite.
Oh. Do we remember, Jordy, are these details are kind of matching the fresco from the Starmount Caves?
Yep.
Is there anything that I can mention to her that Elethe can mention? Because Kaylee doesn't remember, but Elethe can be like, oh, was it like this?
Less so about you mentioning to her, more of you just putting the pieces together of what she's saying matches the fresco, with the exception of the fresco didn't depict an 8th shield.
Right. Okay. Was there something different about the 8th shield? Or was it the same as the ones that the 7 carried?
It was covered. 7 riders, 7 horses, 7 shields, 7 cloaks. One to never see the light of day.
Whoa. Interesting. To never see the light of day. That pings something that I remember about what the scroll said, which is like darkness fills the buried space, never to feel the light's embrace. Do you know if they buried the shield somewhere?
Oh, I don't know. It was the tale was of that the seven riders came from the south to the north and diverged at the grandfather tree. Lady Morgwai headed east, some of the others in different directions. I believe a few headed back south, a few north, a few northwest, northeast. They just made their way to the tree, and then she specifically headed east. That I remember.
And the shield was covered. You don't know if it was silver by any chance?
No, it was covered in black cloth.
Is this something that you remember from your people's history, or that the Arakora has shown you or told you?
Not that it has shown me. It is just more the story of the seven riders. It was something that was passed down through generations. 400, 500 years ago or so, somewhere in there.
That matches our timeline.
Your timeline?
We're just avid anthropologists.
Yeah, Elethe super looks like an anthropologist.
Go ahead and make a deception check for me, Elethe. Or Leif, I should say.
Nice. I am... Sorry, deception?
Deception, yeah.
For some reason, I have deception at advantage.
That does not seem on brand for Leif.
Yeah, I don't know why I haven't... What gives me
Do you have an item or something for it?
At advantage?
Yeah, maybe. Look, I'll take the original one because it doesn't really make
Yeah.
sense, but it would be a 6.
6, alright. So it's a 24, so...
Sick.
Pretty clearly tell that you're hiding something. Doesn't know what, but just kind of...
Well, I believe I've shared enough of our history for one evening. I should be getting back to discerning more of this chain. Hopefully you don't mind if I break it.
Do whatever you like with it.
Why don't you take a swing right now just to see how we feel about it?
I tried earlier, but I wasn't able to do so.
Before you do much to it, and I kind of like look over at Leif for a second, kind of being like, why are you telling her to go for it? And what's with this weird look on your face? Like, basically I would insight check Leif's reaction to that, which is a little bit odd, but I think you should know that like, there might be something out there that's behind the creation of the creature that this chain contained that's able to scry. Do you know that term? Able to sort of see what happens to this chain? That's the impression I got when I made that nick on it. I felt watched. Before you do anything to it. It seems that your hut here has got a lot of protections on it, so you might be safe. But I can't make any promises, just so you're fully informed before you start playing around with it.
You see that she looks at the chain and just kind of like reaches a little foot out and just kicks the chain to see if anything happens.
I think you have to actually damage it. And maybe it wouldn't happen. Maybe it was the first damage. That's what pinged it. I don't know. A lot of unknowns are not really working with a lot of concrete facts about whatever's going on. But we appreciate your information. It's very helpful, and for whatever it's worth, we are here to help and root out evil. I hope we've proved that.
Well, you've at least killed something that brought me a piece of value, and obviously you did enough to impress Borvald and some of the other tribes people.
Some of them, perhaps. Not all.
Tough crowd here.
It is not a crowd that often entertains outsiders. For what it's worth, you are the first group to even have an audience with Borvald in the last 3 years. So...
Man, I asked him some dumb questions.
in and among itself. But I believe that will end our session this evening. I have much to attempt. Sleep well, travel safe, and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good night. And she escorts you towards the door.
Cool. Kind of turn to Leif, shall we?
Yeah. And I did want to sort of like do an insight check on Leaf.
Yeah.
How like sketchy he was acting about that whole like
Yes.
chain.
Roll just an insight check, Leaf. You don't need to roll anything. This will just
Okay.
be to see if it's high enough.
Okay.
You'll be looking at about a DC 18.
Okay, yeah, I rolled a 15 and my bonus is 9, so.
Yeah, 24. Yeah, you get the feeling something's up. Leaf is usually a pretty calm fellow, and you would have caught like a bead of sweat rolling down the side of his face, and maybe him like clenching the hand with the scars on it a little bit tighter.
Mhm.
That would probably be about all you'd get.
Okay. I would wait till we're out of like earshot of the hut and or anybody else and just be like, hey, are you okay?
In general, or like right now?
Like both? That chain seems to have like unsettled you a little bit. Is it because it's kind of maybe connected with, and I point at the scars on.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, when you nicked it before, I got super angry.
You got angry.
Yeah, just maybe keep that one to, I'm trying to not spook everyone. I don't really know what my connection to this thing is or why that's happening. So
Did it feel like your anger or someone else's anger?
well, it didn't really like I personally wasn't angry, but so it felt like maybe someone else's. I don't know. Someone's influencing. Look,
That must be
I'm not super sure, and I think that's why I'm trying to kind of. Normally, I know how to, fix or solve these things, and I really don't know how to approach this one.
Well, we might not know now, but we're on the trail, and you got all of us, my friend.
No, I appreciate that. I'm sorry I'm not, trying to not spook too many people.
Okay, consider it like, I'll keep
Appreciate
my eye
it.
out for whatever's going on. You got my eyes on you. Way, not in a creepy way, not in like I'll be watching you kind of way.
I mean, it feels like we've already got one of those, so yeah, it's probably okay.
Okay, let's go. This is some crazy shit. Let's go tell the others what we found.
Yeah.
Wait, we should go find Les.
Find Les.
So essentially, there's one path to get to where her hut was, and so Les is just a couple of pathways away, kind of like sat down against a tree, and so he's on your way back. You would be walking past him, and Borval would be bringing up the rear, making sure that nobody was doubling back or anything like that.
We weren't going back for an extra session at the hut.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Les, buddy, you okay? You want to come back with us? Or do you need some time?
Good dude.
Yeah, I'll be all right. Just give me a minute here. I'll come join you shortly.
Cool.
Okay. We'll make you some. We're here if you want to talk.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Borval just kind of looks down and just kind of punches you in the shoulder as he walks past.
Okay.
Hi.
Escorting the two of you back. So yeah, things will pretty much wrap up there for the evening. I'm assuming regurgitate the info to everybody else.
Yes.
Yeah. So all of you kind of conferring and coming to a very similar revelation that the description based on what was told several hundred years ago matches the motif that was painted and carved into the walls underneath the Starmount Caves. Very, very closely. Something about that, but the one thing that as best you could see in the image was not depicted was that 8th shield. So you're not entirely sure what that's about, but an interesting piece to add on to what you already found.
Mm-hmm.
So, turning in for the evening, good night's rest for everybody, full recovery of all your hit points, and then that will be where we wrap things up for this week.
Yay, lore dump. Love it. So good.
Not even a
good
lore
lore.
dump, just enough to give you just a little bit of an inkling. Keep following that thread to be able to talk to the shaman. and then remembering a couple of things that they discuss everything, and it's all oral history, and then following it a little bit further and a little bit further. Nice little nugget, worth it at the end of the rainbow.
Beauty.
Yeah.
Very
Beauty.
cool, very cool.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys, for sticking around. Thanks so much to everybody in the chat who stuck with us tonight. We had awesome viewers and awesome people coming in, and thank you for all the raids. We love you guys. Super stoked to come back on, what is it, Saturday, Kev, for your insight check show?
Saturday, yeah, we're gonna, or I think it might be Sunday now. Just redid that with Jonathan Bruhl, who's an awesome cosplayer from TikTok. We did an interview with him,
Nice.
and then next week we got a session on Monday. We got our session from tonight, Tuesday, and another session Wednesday. 3 nights in a row with D&D.
All the D&D you
Back
can
now,
handle.
you hear?
Yeah. But yeah, super stoked for all of that. So thanks everybody for sticking around with us tonight. We love you guys. Be happy, be healthy, stay safe. Bye.
Bye.